I can't get any signal on my phone. I've tried everything. Restarting it. Turning airplane mode on and off. Standing near the window. Nothing works. The screen just keeps showing the same thing. No service. That wouldn't scare me so much if I could leave my room. But I can't. Because I can see the shapes moving just outside my window. Tall, stretched shadows sliding across the snow, waiting for me to make a mistake. Earlier that night, I was driving through the Colorado mountains to visit my parents. I hated long drives, but this one felt peaceful. Snow drifted gently across the road, pine trees looming like dark giants on either side. It was late, quiet, almost calming. Then my radio crackled. The music distorted, voices bleeding through the static. Before I could change the station, the engine coughed once, then died. The car rolled to a stop. I tried everything. The ignition, the gas. Nothing. No lights, no power, just silence and falling snow. Panic started creeping in when I saw headlights cutting through the storm, coming down the mountain pass. I ran into the road, waving my arms. An old Jeep slowed beside me. The window rolled down, revealing an elderly man with sunken cheeks and cloudy eyes that didn't quite focus on me. His face was dotted with strange bumps, and yet he wore a wide, welcoming smile. "Need help, son?" he asked. "My car died," I said quickly. "Is there a town or hotel nearby?" His smile twitched. "A hotel," he repeated softly. "Yes, I can take you to a hotel." I hesitated, but the cold decided for me. I climbed in. The inside of the Jeep smelled old, like dust and something rotten underneath. We drove without speaking, the snow swallowing the road behind us. Exhaustion took over, and I fell asleep. When I woke up, the Jeep was parked in front of a massive, decaying building. A hotel stood alone in the snow, its windows dark, its sign barely hanging on. The old man stared at me. "You may stay as long as you wish," he said. "Just don't try to leave." "What?" I asked. "Don't leave," he repeated, smiling wider. My skin crawled. I got out anyway and walked toward the entrance. The lobby was empty. No staff, no guests. The air smelled moldy, like it had been sealed for decades. Strange symbols were carved into the walls, and unsettling paintings watched me from every angle. I turned to leave. A key card lay at my feet. "Room 113 for you. Enjoy your stay." I didn't remember giving my name. I ran outside. That's when I saw them. Figures standing at the edge of the trees. Too tall. Too thin. They didn't move when I stared, but every time I blinked, they were closer. I sprinted back inside, into room 113, slamming the door and locking it. That's when I searched the hotel name, Hotel de los Muertos. The page said it had been abandoned after occult rituals cursed the property. People vanished here. The owner had died years ago. The photo loaded. Slowly. It was the old man. I tried calling for help. No signal. Now I'm trapped, watching shadows press against the glass. Fingers tapping, scratching. If you're ever stranded on a mountain road at night, don't accept help from strangers. And whatever you do, never follow the old man to his hotel, because once you try to leave, they won't let you. I was halfway through a lonely night drive heading across state lines to visit my family. The highway cuts straight through miles of empty desert, the kind of road where headlights feel like the only proof you still exist. I normally avoided picking up hitchhikers. Too many stories, too many risks. But that night, someone made me slow down. She was walking along the shoulder of the road, her head lowered, steps slow and uneven. She looked young, early 20s, maybe younger. What caught my attention was her clothing, a thin, pale nightdress, completely wrong for the freezing desert air. Anyone else would have been shivering uncontrollably, but she just kept walking, like the cold didn't matter. I don't know why I stopped. Maybe it was the way she reminded me of my younger sister. Maybe it was guilt. Or maybe some stupid instinct telling me not to leave her there. I rolled down the window. "Hey, you need a ride?" She flinched slightly and looked at me with tired, guarded eyes. She glanced behind my car, then back at me, clearly debating whether this was a mistake. I didn't blame her. Getting into a stranger's car at night is never safe. But the cold was winning. "Yes," she finally said, "that would help." I smiled and unlocked the door. "Before you get in, can you tell me where you're headed?" She hesitated. I'm not sure." Up close, I noticed bruises along her arms. Cuts, too. Some old, some recent. My stomach tightened. "Well," I said carefully, "I'm heading toward a town not too far from here. There's a clinic, buses, food. I can drop you there." For the first time, she looked relieved. "Thank you," she whispered. She introduced herself as Emily and sat quietly in the passenger seat. I tried to talk, but conversation felt like dragging words out of stone. "What's your name?" "Emily." "Cold night, huh?" "Yeah." "What do you do?" "I don't work." She kept glancing at the rearview mirror, fingers twisting in her lap, like she expected something to appear behind us. Then I heard a low growl. She blushed and pressed a hand to her stomach. "Sorry." I laughed softly and told her to grab a snack from the glove box. She tore through a granola bar like she hadn't eaten in days. We stopped at a roadside diner soon after. I bought her food. She finally relaxed, smiled even. I gave her my jacket when she started shivering. We talked for hours, mostly about my travels. She avoided talking about her past. Then the doorbell rang. Emily froze. She pulled the hood over her head and sank into her seat. I turned around. A man stood at the entrance. Dirty clothes, wild eyes, the kind of stare that makes your skin crawl. He walked up to a group of truckers. "Have you seen a young woman?" he asked. "Brown hair." They laughed at him. That's when he pulled out a gun. Everything happened too fast. Screaming. A gunshot. Blood splattered the wall. Emily whispered through tears, "That's my father." The truckers tackled him. He fought like an animal. By the time police arrived, he was barely alive. We told them everything. Emily had been running from years of abuse. He chased her down the only road out. He's in prison now. Emily still calls me sometimes. She's healing. Slowly. Free. At last. Every time I drive that desert road, I think about how close she came to disappearing forever. My closest friend Mark and I got an unexpected invitation during finals week. A house party, far across the state, hosted by someone we barely knew. Normally, we would have said no, but stress makes you reckless. We packed into Mark's old van with 4 other friends and drove for 3 long hours, music blasting and worries fading mile by mile. The party was chaos in the best way. Loud music, flashing lights, cheap beer flowing like water. I drank far more than I should have. Mark promised to stay mostly sober so he could drive, but that promise dissolved after a few laughs and a girl who wouldn't stop pulling him toward the dance floor. By midnight, everyone was intoxicated in one way or another. I barely remember what else we took that night, only that my head felt like it was floating. When the party finally died down, we piled back into the van. Mark insisted on driving. I protested weakly, but my tongue felt heavy and my thoughts even heavier. He was still the least drunk among us, which felt like a good enough excuse at the time. Since I was completely out of it, they laid me across the back seat. The moment I closed my eyes, everything went black. I woke to the van slowing down. My mouth tasted like metal and regret. "Why are we stopping?" I muttered. Mark glanced at me through the mirror, his eyes glassy. "There's someone on the road," he said. "She needs a ride." Before I could argue, I saw her through the window. She stood alone under a flickering streetlight, thin, motionless. Her skin was unnaturally pale, almost glowing against the darkness. Long black hair hung down over a simple black dress, like she'd stepped out of a funeral. Her thumb was raised, but her expression never changed. Mark rolled down the window, suddenly self-conscious, running a hand through his hair. You okay? Need a lift?" I never heard her answer, but Mark unlocked the doors anyway. With every other seat full, she climbed into the back beside me. She didn't buckle up. She didn't even look at me. The air felt colder the moment she sat down. Trying to be polite, I asked where she was headed. She turned toward me, lips moving slowly, carefully. I watched her speak, but heard nothing. No sound at all. Mark responded from the front, repeating her destination as if he'd heard her clearly. So did everyone else. They chatted with her like nothing was wrong. I told myself it was the alcohol messing with my senses. We drove for hours. She kept talking. I kept hearing silence. Eventually, we pulled into a roadside stop. Bright lights. Too bright. I remember thinking my head was about to split open. That's when everything went wrong. A truck burst out of the lot, horn screaming. There was no time to react. The impact felt like the world snapping in half. Metal folded. Glass exploded. My legs were crushed instantly, pain blinding and absolute. Then, nothing. When I woke up, the van was quiet. Horribly quiet. The girl beside me was gone. In front of me were my friends, or what was left of them. Blood everywhere, bent metal embedded in flesh. One of them, her head was gone. Just a shattered mess sprayed across the seats. I screamed until my throat burned. Outside the van, I saw her again. The pale woman stood untouched on the roadside. No blood, no injury. She met my eyes with something like pity. Behind her, shapes emerged from the darkness. My friends. Whole again, unbroken, walking slowly toward her. Mark turned once before following. His mouth formed two silent words, "I'm sorry." Then they were gone. The police said there was no hitchhiker, no evidence anyone else had been there. I lost both my legs that night. Sometimes, late at night, I dream of her standing at the edge of my bed, lips moving in silence. I know who she is now, and one day, when she comes for me again, I think I'll finally hear her voice.